Ace in the Hole is episode 2. So
right away, you get a bunch of dudes. Sup, dude, from Zach Brown. He's just duding everyone.
Yeah, there really is a shitload of McLaren in the first 5 episodes. Like, this is, again, back to Monaco and a lot of focus on Ricciardo and the battle between Ferrari and
Lando's contract.
McLaren, and Lando gets the extension, and that maybe there was a little prickly relationship between Danny Rick and Lando obviously. This is really showing, too, Lando how bad of a mental state he was really in, because we never really got to see a lot of it.
Yeah, I was shocked at how, not shocked, but surprised by how, like, visibly nervous Lando was about Danny becoming his teammate. The pressure, the threat of Daniel. And he was saying it on camera. Right,
and then you had Danny Rick when things weren't going well, saying, like, how much is the fine if I don't do media? I just don't want to, I'm not going to go do media. They're like, it's actually a lot, so let's just go knock it out. We'll just get done. You don't want to pay that fine.
Yeah, I couldn't believe how rattled Danny was, too, for the first half of the season. But let's start from the beginning. So I enjoyed very much when they got to the contract extension announcement for Lando. And then we get to see both the Ferrari drivers, Carlos and Charles, chilling on the couch, just shooting the breeze.
Right.
And
right
Charles
when news breaks.
Or no, Carlos is like, oh, Lando got a new contract.
I think Charles says it, and then Lando's like, and then
you're right.
Charles
says
like,
it.
Oh,
Carlos
he's like, text him, ask him how many years, and
then they're like, they're trying to figure out how to game it to get the information.
Yeah, he goes, maybe I should start with congrats.
Congratulations.
I should say congrats or something.
That shit was hilarious.
The two of them drafting the text message to try and get details on the extension.
I love that. That was a riot.
It's amazing how much they're all obsessed, I think, obviously, with what seats are locked down long term, right? Because everyone just wants to know how many years did he get.
Yeah,
and that's the weird thing, too. Like, Formula One, like, think of every other sport. We get every bit of detail, like bonuses, guaranteed money, how long it is, when there are options for either teams or play. You get that, all of that in, like, every other sport. Except in Formula One, you basically get zero details. Everyone just estimates values for the most part, and years are kind of up in the air. Like, they're sitting there, and Danny Rick is like, so how many years is it? And Lando's just stone-faced and doesn't say anything, and then the media guy's like, we're going with multi-year. That's how we'll say it.
Let's just stick with multi-year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's just a case of, in F1, you don't have to divulge any of that information until the end of the season when they open up the books. Because the information always eventually comes out.
Right. It's just weird because the moment a contract is signed in other sports, you get all the details.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. The other fun thing, Ryan, I mean, Leclerc and Sainz are pretty funny. When they're driving around Monaco. And
Sainz seems like a really good dude.
Yeah. And Leclerc is like giving him the grand tour of Monaco. It's just weird. Isn't it insane to be
Charles'
Monegasque?
life?
Yeah.
Charles' life is an enchanted life.
He's cruising through Monaco in a Ferrari and just going like, yeah, you see that beautiful building there and everything. That was my school.
He was like, this is my park. Yeah. He's had a very charmed life, to say the least.
Yeah, crazy. And just the two of them walking around and everyone shouting out Leclerc and Monaco, obviously.
Yeah.
So the other one, Ryan, Christian Horner was talking about Lando, and we actually got as close as we'll get to him saying hot. We always say hot young stud for the Studley drivers. Christian Horner was talking about how obviously there's all this pressure from Lando's performance and everything on Danny Rick, and he says he's a good-looking young lad. He said that was part of what is putting the pressure on Danny Rick. He's got this super quick, good-looking young lad he's competing against.
Christian, pull your pants back up. Jesus.
Unbelievable. Yeah, he's in the tank for Lando, it sounds like. Let's
go back to what we were saying, how you could sense the friction between Lando and Danny early, and then how Lando was rattled in the beginning of the season of Daniel's arrival. After Daniel outqualified him in Bahrain in the first race, do you remember when Lando gets in the car with his like trainer or whatever, his handler, and they like say, let's fuck shit up, like mocking Daniel?
Yeah.
You get to see like where that friction builds up between teammates.
Yeah, it is interesting because it seems like Drive to Survive a couple seasons ago tried to make it seemed like there was some battle and like a rivalry, like that was not friendly between Carlos and Lando.
Yeah.
I think that was very friendly. This one I just think might be a little more rocky because Danny Rick is obviously a big-time multi-race winner coming from Red Bull before he was at Alpine Renault when he was there, right?
Yeah,
I think
he's also getting paid more than Lando.
Exactly.
That's the most important part.
That's why that extension now emboldened Lando even more, right? Because like after the extension wasn't that when like he then was quoted with the, I don't need to make him feel good or whatever. My job isn't to make him feel more comfortable or something.
Yeah, exactly. But still, even after that extension, the one that you see on the show, he was still being paid less than Danny a year.
Yeah.
So he has that as a chip on his shoulder.
So they did that extension. Didn't they then also like rework it again?
Yeah, I think
after
got
the
more
season
money.
or at the end. I thought there was probably to make the pay scale more in line with Danny Rick.
Yeah.
The other thing I noticed, Ryan, it seems like, a bunch of these drivers obviously have homes or live in Monaco, but it seems like everyone else just rents a ridiculous boat. Like all the other team principals and Danny Rick and a lot of them are just like probably staying somewhere else along the Riviera there.
Yeah, they're like over in Positano or something.
Yeah, and they're all just taking epic, huge, like modern-ass boats over into Monaco.
Those are just tenders in Monaco, dude. Those are like dinghies.
Exactly, they're dinghies. And yeah, how about Christian Horner when he's walking through the
Shitting
marina
on the
and he goes, so all the money in the world is here. How the hell does this guy get in here? It was just like some sloppy little sailboat.
I know. Shitting on the
He's
everyman.
like, what the hell is this thing doing here? How does this get it?
We can't all own farms with former Spice Girl wives, Christian.
Yeah. But I just thought that was interesting that everyone is just traveling by boat up and down the Riviera to go to the race in Monaco.
Another thing I picked up on so far through this season is the team principals love dick punches in the paddock. Have you noticed how many dick punches there were?
Yeah.
Toto dick punched David Coulthard. He said, "Happy birthday, fucker," and he punched him in the dick.
Yeah.
And then in another episode, we have Gunther Steiner and Mattia Binotto doing a little bit of dick punching, a little bit of wrestling.
Yeah, that was wild when Binotto, he sort of like got into the wrestling stance and was like really yucking it up.
Everybody's different once you put a camera on them, you know?
Yeah, it's funny, man. It's funny though. Like it's just so funny picturing both those guys. Like Gunther Steiner and Mattia Binotto are like horseplay. They're like wrestling in one of the catwalks at one of the tracks.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Interesting episode. The biggest takeaway for me was just it's pretty soul crushing watching Daniel go through some of those races where he's qualifying like P16. I mean, it doesn't get worse than that.
Dude,
the only cars
in Monaco, he gets lapped in Monaco, by his teammate. He was on the podium.
He was qualifying so poorly that the only cars that could be behind him were the Haas's and the Williams.
Right.
Or the Alphas. It was
the
bad.
other thing, and a lot of his radio transmissions were like in the first 5 laps, he's going, it's only getting worse from here. Like, I don't have anything today. Like, he was, I don't understand.
He had the yips.
Yeah.
Literally, it was like watching a golfer lose a swing or a pitcher lose his pitch.
Yeah, and he's calling it immediately in these races.
Zero confidence. You're right. Were races in the first stint. He was like, I have no front end. He's like, I have no confidence in the brakes.
Right. Tires are gone. It's only going to get worse. He kept saying that like all the time. Like it's not going to get any better here. This is only going downhill now.
He was a mentally broken driver at that point.
Yeah. Very interesting to see some of that radio because that's the thing too.
Did you catch that needling by Lando when he had the opportunity to just maintain the upper hand? After Lando signed the new contract, they're with the PR guy in Monaco, and the PR guy brings up that headline about how Lando Norris said, I don't need to have any sympathy for Daniel.
Yeah, then he says, unless you want me to, Daniel.
Yeah, and then he takes like another dig at Daniel. So clearly Lando was seizing the opportunity to just keep beating him mentally.
Well, and he also was
I get
so
it.
full of confidence because he was smoking Danny Ricciardo.
Oh, I mean...
And like he even says it in the beginning of the episode, right? Where he's like, yeah, everybody... Most of the media and everyone was thinking that Danny Rick was going to, beat me in all the qualifying and in performance and everything. And Lando had an epic season where he single-handedly, for the most part, was the one battling both Ferrari drivers.
Yeah, single-handedly almost beat Ferrari in the constructors.
Right.
One more thing to note. I know we mentioned that Ricciardo is paid more than him, at least was that season. There's also a considerable age gap between those two guys.
Right.
It's like 10 years or more, I want to say. Because Lando's very young and Daniel's like 32, 33. I'm not sure how old he is. But the point is, there is quite the age gap between them. So Lando's right when he was saying, Daniel's now my new teammate, and everyone's saying stuff like, oh, you guys are going to be the coolest team because you're both the same type of guy. And Lando's like, fucking no, I'm not. I'm nothing like Daniel.
Yeah, that's what I was gathering too. It's like Daniel's much more silly, and then Lando, I think, because Lando also, we've talked about in the past, he's tried to almost pull back on his sort of
goofiness,
jokey persona and jokey social media and trying to be more professional,
Yeah, his first 2 years, he was very jovial and aloof. And
you know what else I'm missing after going through the first half of season 4? Not nearly enough exercising for me, like when they're doing the neck exercise. Yeah, not nearly enough working out. We had team principals working out in last season's Drive to Survive.
Yeah.
The only thing we get now is massive montages of mechanics doing calisthenics before sessions.
I don't mind that. I get a kick out of that.
It is funny. Like they're doing like the stuff you see the old people do in pools. Like when they're just out there like swinging their arms.
What is it called?
Aquasizing or something.
Something hilarious.
Yeah, and the mechanics are just doing like touching their toes and doing jumping jacks.
Well,
it's like the most
a lot of resistance bands.
Yeah, a lot of resistance bands coming out. A lot of squats. It's just funny seeing all the. We always joke too about all the different body types of the mechanics, like the jack men that are just jacked men.
There was a good shot of one of the team's massive rear jack man.
Yeah.
Just a huge guy.
Yeah, and then some of the guys look like they couldn't lift, a soda can up to their mouth. Like there are guys doing the calisthenics that have the skinniest arms I've ever seen.
Those are the dudes with the squirt bottles who were just constantly squirting the car and wiping it down.
Right.
That's all they do.
Yeah, the guys who are doing the dust, dusting off the car components.
That's all I had for episode 2, Ace in the Hole.
Yeah, let's Neum over to episode 3 now.